Long ago, in the warm and vibrant lands of a beautiful country, there was a forest where many different animals lived peacefully. Among the animals living in this forest were gazelles, rabbits, birds, and squirrels. These animals, each different from the other, respected and helped each other, and protected their forest. One day, they heard that a malicious fox had disturbed the peace of the forest and was harming its other animals. The fox's tricks had begun to disrupt the balance of the forest. The gazelles ran about in anxiety, the rabbits hid in fear, and the birds refused to fly. One day after sunset, the oldest tree in the forest began to speak. All the animals gathered in silence, for when the oldest tree spoke, everyone's heart was lifted. The tree said, "My dear friends, the fox's actions grieve us. But the solution will come with the emergence of a strong and kind-hearted hero. This hero, with his love and justice, will restore peace to the forest." Guardians of the forest. Gazelles, rabbits, birds, and squirrels too. The animals exchanged glances and breathed a sigh of hope. Perhaps this hero was one of them. The darkness of the night did not frighten them. On the contrary, it strengthened their sense of goodness and justice. With the dawn's light, a new chapter would be turned, and the peace of the forest would be restored. The next morning, a wave of excitement spread through every corner of the forest. Whispered rumors among the animals, hopeful glances, and the air trembling with curiosity brought a new energy to the new day. The herd of gazelles had gathered, the rabbits had formed small groups, and the birds had begun to sing melodious songs. Everyone was now filled with hope for finding their inner hero. However, it was still unclear who this hero was. Some animals awaited a hero who would protect the forest with the speed of gazelles, while others dreamed of someone who would restore the peace with the cuteness and agility of rabbits. Birds, on the other hand, observed from above, trying to track the terrifying, malevolent fox. One day, a brave and curious young squirrel was found in a secluded corner of the forest. While playing among the trees, the young squirrel heard strange sounds and headed toward them. The sound was someone's cries for help. The young squirrel immediately took action and began running in the direction of the sound. Guardians of the forest. Gazelles, rabbits, birds, and squirrels 3. On the way, he got stuck in a huge spider web, but the young squirrel didn't give up. He tore the web apart with his powerful claws and continued on his swift stride. When he finally reached the source of the sound, he saw that the fox had set a trap and was threatening a rabbit with a terrible threat. The young squirrel approached without fear and began to make plans to rescue the rabbit. The rabbit was astonished by the young squirrel's courage. His determined gaze and quick thinking gave him hope. Together, they managed to escape the fox's traps and banded together to help the other animals of the forest. Now, all the animals began to see the young squirrel as their hero. However, the fox still pursued evil in the forest. His tricks and traps proved a formidable obstacle, even with the powerful unity of the animals. The squirrel cub and the other animals decided to devise a plan against the fox's evil. This time, however, they would have to be even more cautious and work together to stop the fox. Guardians of the forest. Gazelles, rabbits, birds, and squirrels 4. As night began to slowly descend on the forest, the animals had completed their plan. They were ready to thwart the fox's latest scheme and keep their forest safe forever. Together, they joined forces and stood against the fox, filled with excitement about the great battle they would wage against him. Deep in the forest, a powerful unity of animals had formed. The squirrel cub, with his courage and determination, had become the leader of the other animals. While the fox instilled fear in the forest with his tricks, the animals were determined to unite and stand against him. Each animal, using their unique strengths, worked together and did their best to protect their forest. One night, with the fox still on its evil trail, the animals decided to put their plan into action. The squirrel cub had carefully planned to counter the fox's traps. The other animals supported him, each demonstrating their own strength. Now, the future of the forest rested in the hands of these brave and determined animals. Guardians of the forest. Gazelles, rabbits, birds, and squirrels 5. When the fox's final game began, the animals stood ready. They walked cautiously through the trap-filled forest. The fox hadn't expected the animals to unite and oppose him. However, he was astonished to find a powerful force against him. The squirrel cub met the fox's gaze and, with the courage within him, stood against him. At that moment, the fight for the peace of the forest began. The animals fought intelligently and resolutely against the fox's traps. With all their courage, the young squirrel leaped down from the hills and outmaneuvered the fox. The other animals supported him, standing together against the fox. The fox was powerless against the brave and determined animals. Finally, he gave up and was forced to leave the forest. The animals had once again seen the power of working together and acting courageously. The young squirrel and the other animals had restored peace to their forest. The guardians of the forest: gazelles, rabbits, birds, and squirrels 6. With sunrise, the peace of the forest returned. The animals gathered together and held a victory feast. The young squirrel became a true hero in the eyes of the other animals. Each animal realized once again the importance of working together and solidarity. They vowed to do everything in their power to protect their forest and live together. And thus, the peace and tranquility of the forest was once again restored. Thanks to the friendship and solidarity among the animals, the fox's evil was thwarted, and the forests were restored to their former glory. With his courage and determination, the squirrel cub set an example for all animals, showing them that by working together, they can overcome any challenge. Guardians of the forest: gazelles, rabbits, birds, and squirrels 7. And now, a legend roamed the depths of the forest. This epic adventure, begun by the squirrel cub's courage and the cooperation of the other animals, would always be remembered and would inspire future generations. The peace and tranquility of the forest was achieved through the power of cooperation and solidarity, and the friendship between the animals would endure forever.